Welcome to Sober Without God. This is the Fall Asleep series. This series is designed to help you fall asleep while listening to stories about the scientists and non-believers who have made an impact on our world. If you're like me and have trouble going to sleep or staying asleep, videos like this may help you relax while also learning. It is my hope that hearing these stories in a calm and peaceful way will help guide you to the relaxation and sleep you're looking for. Before we begin, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe, and leave a comment letting me know where you're listening from. It's a big help to the channel and will encourage me to make more like this. My goal is to be able to make these videos ad-free as the channel continues to grow. These videos are here to pay homage to some of the greatest thinkers of our time while helping you relax and meditate or fall to sleep. So now let's settle in to a comfortable position and get ready for some peaceful rest. Tonight, we begin with the story of Penn Jillette, a man known for his booming voice, towering presence, and razor-sharp wit. For decades, Penn has dazzled audiences with magic, provoked them with bold ideas, and challenged them to think critically about the world. But before he became half of the world-famous duo Penn and Teller, before the TV shows, the books, and the activism, Penn was simply a kid from Massachusetts, curious, restless, and unwilling to take anything on faith. Take a slow breath in, hold it gently, and let it out. This is a story about curiosity, skepticism, and the joy of building a life that's entirely your own. Penn Fraser Jillette was born on March 5th, 1955, in Greenfield, Massachusetts. He grew up in a working-class family. His father, Val, worked at the local jail, and his mother, Pauline, was a secretary. Even as a child, Penn stood out, tall for his age, loud, and endlessly questioning. He loved science, art, and performance, but hated anything that felt like it was trying to control his mind. Penn recalled, "The moment someone told me I had to believe something without evidence was the moment I stopped listening." Imagine him as a teenager, gangly, with a deep voice, still reading books on magic tricks and science experiments in equal measure. Penn's first exposure to magic came through books and small local performances. But unlike most kids who loved magic for the mystery, Penn was fascinated by the mechanics, the psychology behind the trick. He would later say, "Magic is the most honest confession. A magician promises to fool you and then does it. It was this blend of art and honesty that hooked him for life. Penn's rebellious streak showed early. In high school, after reading the Bible cover to cover, he concluded it was, in his words, a mess, morally, historically, and logically. By the time he graduated, he was not only a self-described atheist, but also deeply committed to the idea that belief should be earned, not imposed. Take another breath. Picture a young Penn Jillette, already over 6 feet tall, carrying a deck of cards in one pocket and a head full of skeptical questions in the other. He didn't yet know how far magic and skepticism would take him. But he knew this: he would not live a life built on someone else's script. The seeds of a bold life often begin in the small acts of asking, why? After high school, Penn's path wasn't a straight line. He studied a little, traveled a little, and worked odd jobs. But the real draw was always performance. Not just magic, but juggling, comedy, storytelling, and street theater. In the mid-1970s, Penn studied at the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Clown College, learning how to command an audience, control timing, and keep a crowd engaged. It was here he honed the skills that would one day fill theaters in Las Vegas. In performance, Penn said, you have to tell the truth of the moment, even if you're lying in the trick. He became friends with Weir Kreismeyer, and together they created the Asparagus Valley Cultural Society, a blend of juggling, magic, and comedy that didn't take itself too seriously. It was in this creative whirlwind that Penn met Teller, a quiet, precise magician who rarely spoke on stage. Where Penn was tall, loud, and brash, Teller was small, silent, and meticulous. Penn later joked, I do all the talking, Teller does all the work. The chemistry was instant. They began performing together, bringing a new kind of magic act to audiences, one that combined comedy, skepticism, and a willingness to reveal how the trick was done. Imagine them in those early days. two very different men, united by a shared belief that magic didn't have to be about pretending to have supernatural powers. Instead, it could be about showing the audience exactly how easily humans can be fooled and making them laugh while they realize it. From the beginning, Penn and Teller rejected the idea that magicians should claim real mystical abilities. Penn was blunt. He said, if you're doing magic and you tell people it's real, you're lying and you're a scumbag. Instead, they leaned into the honesty of deception. They'd perform a trick, then sometimes walk the audience through exactly how it was done, proving that even when you know, you can still be fooled. That's the beauty of magic, Penn said. It's a celebration of how our brains work and how they don't. Even in their earliest interviews, Penn's skepticism and atheism were on full display. In a 1980s radio spot, when asked if he believed in the supernatural, Penn replied, I believe in love, reason, and gravity. Everything else has to earn my belief. This blend of wit, intellect, and refusal to pander made them a unique act, one that would soon be performing on late night TV, Broadway, and eventually their own Las Vegas stage. Take a deep breath. The foundation of Penn's career wasn't just magic, it was a philosophy that truth matters, that reason matters, and that entertainment can be the sugar that helps critical thinking go down smooth. By the late 1980s, Penn and Teller were no longer just quirky magicians with a loyal cult following. Original names. Their appearances on Late Night with David Letterman, Saturday Night Live, and other talk shows were unlike anything audiences had ever seen. Instead of guarded mystery, Penn and Teller gave their tricks a twist, something revealing the method. Other times, letting the audience think they knew, only to surprise them again. Penn's voice, deep, fast, and full of energy, became as recognizable as the red nail on Teller's hand. We don't lie about the fact that we're lying, Penn liked to say in interviews. That's the contract. It wasn't just entertainment, it was philosophy wrapped in spectacle. In the late 80s and early 90s, Penn and Teller took their act to Broadway, playing to sold out crowds. Their shows were part magic, part stand up comedy, part TED Talk before TED Talks were a thing. One night, they might make an elephant disappear. The next, they'd perform a bullet catch while Penn delivered a monologue about the dangers of trusting authority without question. Penn said on stage, magic should never be about showing you the power of the magician. It should be about showing you the weaknesses of being human. Picture the theater. Penn towering over the crowd. Teller silent but expressive. The audience laughing, gasping, and without quite realizing it, learning something about skepticism. In 2001, Penn and Teller began their residency at the Rio All Suite Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas. It became the longest running headliner act in Vegas history, and it's still running today. Night after night. But Penn wanted a bigger one. In 2003, a show that took aim at pseudoscience, religion, conspiracy theories, and political hypocrisy. The show was blunt, funny, and unapologetically skeptical. Penn pulled no punches. He said, "We've said it before. Believing something without evidence is stupid and dangerous." On religion, he was equally direct. The only difference between religion and magic is that in magic, the trick is supposed to fool you. In religion, the trick is supposed to be real. In interviews and public talks, Penn often distilled his worldview into simple, repeatable ideas. He said, "If you can't tell me exactly why you believe something, maybe you shouldn't believe it." He said, "We're big fans of doubt. Doubt is what gets you closer to the truth." He also said, "Love people, hate bad ideas. Take a slow breath. Penn's magic was never just about the trick. It was about giving the audience a taste of wonder and then showing them that wonder was possible without lies. Penn Jillette's atheism wasn't a late life rebellion. It was there from the beginning, seated in childhood, rooted in his teenage reading of the Bible, and sharpened by a lifetime of asking hard questions. Penn often tells the story of how, as a young man, a Christian gave him a copy of the Bible. No tricks, no sermons, just here, read this. He read it cover to cover, and his reaction was decisive. He said, "If you think you get your morality from that book, we have a huge problem." For Penn, the Bible was the beginning of his disbelief, not because it failed to inspire him, but because it was, in his view, inconsistent, violent, and clearly written by human hands. Imagine him, a young, lanky Penn, closing the book, not with anger, but with clarity. This isn't the work of a God. This is the work of people. Penn's central argument on religion has always been simple. He said, the burden of proof is on the person making the claim. If you say there's a God, you need to prove it. Until then, I have no reason to believe you. In debates, he's pressed his point with humor. If I told you I had a giant invisible gorilla in my garage, would you believe me? No. Then we're on the same page. He doesn't argue that gods are impossible, only that no evidence has been presented to justify belief. Penn rejects the idea that atheism leaves a moral vacuum. The question isn't, without God, why be good? He said. The question is, if you only do good because of God, why should I trust you at all? For him, morality is stronger when it comes from empathy and reason, rather than fear of divine punishment. He often says, I'm an atheist, and I'm also a libertarian. The two are connected. I believe in personal responsibility, that we own our actions, good or bad. without blaming or thanking invisible beings. Take a deep breath. Consider how freeing it might be to see morality as a choice you own entirely, without any cosmic bookkeeping in the background. One of Penn's most circulated statements comes from his video blog. He says, "The question I get most often asked is, without God, what's to stop you from graping and killing everyone you want?" And my answer is, I do grape and kill everyone I want. And the number I want is 0. And I do that because it's the right thing to do. It's blunt. It's disarming. And it captures his core belief that decency comes from within, not from fear of divine wrath. While Penn's criticisms of religion are often sharp, he also respects sincerity. One of his most touching stories came after a show when a man handed him a Bible as a gift. Penn said later, "I don't respect people who don't proselytize. If you believe there's a heaven and hell, and you think people could be going to hell, and you don't tell them, that's immoral. I don't believe what he believes, but I respected him for caring enough to tell me." This is where Penn's skepticism differs from pure hostility. He can disagree completely and still admire honesty. Think of that balance. Standing firm in your disbelief, but still listening when others speak. Penn has said that magic and comedy are his best tools for spreading skepticism. He said, "If I go on stage and say, 'Don't believe in God,' I lose the room. If I make you laugh for an hour and then say, 'Here's why I don't believe,' you might at least think about it." His Showtime series took that philosophy to cable television, tackling topics from creationism to psychics to the Ten Commandments, all with a mix of hard facts and humor sharp enough to draw blood. Despite the fire in his rhetoric, Penn describes himself as a humanist, someone who believes that meaning, love, and morality come from human relationships, not from divine edicts. He says, there is no God. That's the bad news. The good news is we don't need one. As you breathe and relax, think about what it would mean to live fully in the here and now, to see each day as a finite resource, to be used for kindness, creation, and truth. That is the heart of Penn Jillette's atheism. Penn Jillette is a well-known man for his political views, as for his magic. A proud libertarian, he champions maximum personal freedom paired with maximum personal responsibility. He says, the government's job is to protect our rights, not to parent us. For Penn, freedom is not just a political position. It's the very air he breathes. Penn often says that his libertarianism and atheism are linked. He once said, if you don't believe there's a God watching over you, you learn to watch over yourself and to let other people live their lives their way. This means he supports freedom of speech, even for people he disagrees with. Freedom of religion, even for religions he rejects. And freedom from religion for those who want none. Imagine a philosophy built not on agreement, but on letting people be who they are, as long as they don't harm others. Penn has debated political and religious figures on television, radio, and in print. When confronted with the idea that people need government or God to behave, he's quick to respond by saying, I don't trust any person or institution to have that much power over my life. The fewer people telling me what to do, the better. In debates, Penn combines humor with pointed logic. He said, if your neighbor's religion says he can't drink alcohol, great. But if your neighbor's religion says you can't drink alcohol, that's where we have a problem. On Penn and Teller BS, politics and skepticism often overlapped. They took aim at laws and regulations they saw as overreach, from censorship to the drug war to mandatory prayer. The goal was always the same: expose hypocrisy, defend individual choice, and encourage people to think for themselves. Penn is clear that freedom without responsibility is just chaos. He once said, liberty means you get to make your own choices. Responsibility means you live with the results of those choices. No excuses, no blaming. He applies this to everything, from health to speech to relationships. It's why he resists telling others how to live, and why he rejects anyone trying to legislate morality. Take a slow breath in, hold it, and let it out. Think about what it means to truly own your life, your words, your actions, and your consequences. For Penn, magic is the perfect metaphor for liberty. The magician can fool you, but only with your consent. He once said, magic works because you want to be fooled. Politics works because you're not paying attention. Learn the difference. On stage, he and Teller break the rules of traditional magic, revealing secrets, mocking superstition, and refusing to pretend they have mystical powers. It's art without lies. And Penn believes life should work the same way. Penn's views have drawn criticism from both the political left and right. To the religious right, he's a godless troublemaker. To parts of the left, his libertarianism is too uncompromising. But Penn embraces the discomfort. He said, if you agree with everything I say, you're not listening closely enough. Freedom isn't neat. It's not easy. It's messy, unpredictable, and sometimes uncomfortable. But it's a space where truth, art, and human dignity can flourish. Penn Jillette has built his life in that space and invites us to do the same. As we continue, let's reflect on some quotes from Penn Jillette. There is no God, and that's the simple truth. If every trace of any single religion were wiped out and nothing were passed on, it would never be created exactly that way again. There might be some other nonsense in its place, but not that exact nonsense. If all of science were wiped out, it would still be true, and someone would find a way to figure it all out again. Nobody that has seen a baby born can believe in God for a second. When you see your child born and the panic and the amount of technology that is saving the life of the two people you love most in the world, when you see how much stainless steel and money it takes to fight off the fact that God wants both these people dead, no one, no one can look into the eyes of a newborn baby and say there's a God, because I'll tell you, if we were squatting in the woods and the two people I love most would be dead, there's just no way around that. If I were in charge, no way. We need technology to fight against nature. Nature so wants us dead. Nature is trying to kill us. You don't have to be brave or a saint, a martyr, or even very smart to be an atheist. All you have to be able to say is, I don't know. Believing there's no God means I can't really be forgiven except by kindness and faulty memories. That's good. It makes me want to be more thoughtful. I have to try to treat people right the first time around. It's not arrogant to say that you can't figure out the answers to the universe with your internal faith. It's not arrogant to know that there's no omniscient, omnipotent prime mover in the universe who loves you personally. It's not sad to feel that life and the love of your real friends and family is more than enough to make life worth living. Isn't it much sadder to feel that there is a more important love required than the love of the people who have chosen to spend their limited time with you? If there's something you really want to believe, that's what you should question the most. Luck is statistics taken personally. Read everything and be kind. Love and respect all people. Hate and destroy all faith. Every time something really bad happens, people cry out for safety, and the government answers by taking rights away from good people. We have no proof that the bad, stupid, crazy people who have planted bombs in the past few years use the phone much for their stupid, bad crimes, let alone logged on the internet. Yet when those kind of bad things happen nowadays, the government tries to do bad things to phones and the net. The phones and the internet are just good, smart things, and the government should leave them alone. You have to watch the government all the time on everything. Thomas Jefferson didn't say that, but he said something very close to that. It's fair to say that the Bible contains equal amounts of fact, history, and pizza. As I'm fond of saying, if you want to find utopia, take a sharp right on money and a sharp left on sex, and it's straight ahead. Democracy without respect for individual rights sucks. It's just ganging up against the weird kid, and I'm always the weird kid. I love nuts. I'm for nuts. I am nuts. Technology adds nothing to art. 2,000 years ago, I could tell you a story, and at any point during the story, I could stop and ask, now do you want the hero to be kidnapped or not? But that would, of course, have ruined the story. Part of the experience of being entertained is sitting back and plugging into someone else's vision. My favorite thing about the internet is that you get to go into the private world of real creeps without having to smell them. Exploration of space is worth it because humans need to explore. Knowledge is always good, and it's a really cool thing to see. I don't think anything gives your life joy and meaning. I think your life simply has joy and meaning. The love for my children, the love for my parents, and the love for my friends is the end in itself. The meaning is life. We are only here for a little while, and our bodies belong to ourselves and no one else. So no one cares, and that protects your personal privacy. At least most of the time, no one cares. I'm not making the argument that if we're doing nothing wrong, then we shouldn't be afraid of the government monitoring us. That's a stupid, bad argument. We should always be afraid of the government monitoring us. The fact that no one cares what we're talking about is an argument for keeping it that way. We don't want the government to be able to care. Any power you give the government will abuse. George Washington almost said that. For atheists, everything in the world is enough, and every day is holy. Every day is an atheist holiday. It's a day that we are alive. 2011, Penn Teller had already conquered Las Vegas, Broadway, and cable television. But a new chapter in their career was about to begin, one that would combine Penn's booming personality with Teller's silent precision and invite the magic community into the spotlight like never before. The concept was simple. Magicians from around the world would perform for Penn and Teller. If the duo could figure out the trick, the magician didn't win. But if they were fooled, the magician earned a coveted spot, performing in the Penn and Teller Las Vegas show. The result was Penn and Teller Fool Us, a blend of competition, celebration, and education that became an instant hit. Unlike most talent shows, Fool Us wasn't about humiliation or harsh judgment. Penn has said many times, we want to be fooled. We love magic. This show is our love letter to it. Magicians brought everything from sleight of hand card tricks to elaborate illusions involving fire, technology. Penn and Teller would watch, whisper, and at the end, Penn would stand and deliver his verdict. Because the show didn't want to expose secrets to the public, Penn developed a habit of speaking in code to let the magician know what they thought without ruining the method for viewers. It was a game within a game, and choosing his words carefully, sometimes dropping sly references to obscure magic literature, other times using playful metaphors. Penn explained, we try to make it a celebration, not a takedown. If we figure it out, we want you to know we respect the work. And if we don't, we want you to know how happy we are to be fooled. Imagine two master magicians, not as gatekeepers, but as fans, delighting in the creativity of others, grinning wide when someone truly stumps them. Penn has often said that being fooled by great magic is one of life's rare pleasures. It's like a good joke, he said. You don't want to know the punchline until it hits you. On Fool Us, when a magician succeeds in fooling them, Penn's joy is genuine, his booming laugh filling the theater, Teller often breaking character to clap or bow in respect. Fool Us gave a platform to performers philosophers who might never have reached a global audience. It showcased not just famous illusionists, but unknown talents, hobbyists, and young magicians just starting out. It also embodied Penn and Teller's lifelong commitment to honesty, acknowledging the trick for what it is, an illusion, while still cherishing the wonder it creates. Penn said on one episode, magic is proof that joy can exist without lies. More than a decade into its run, Fool Us has become a cornerstone of Penn and Teller's public image. It shows them not as aloof stars, but as approachable, enthusiastic lovers of their craft. It's a reminder that mastery doesn't mean closing the door behind you. It means holding it open for the next generation. As you breathe, think about the beauty of being amazed, not just at magic tricks, but at any moment where reality surprises you in the best possible way. That joy, the joy of being fooled, is one of Penn and Teller's greatest gifts to the world. And so we come to the end of Penn Jillette's story. From a curious boy in Greenfield, Massachusetts, to half of one of the most famous magic duos in the world, to a loud, unflinching voice for skepticism, freedom, and personal responsibility. He has spent a lifetime inviting us to look closer, to question more deeply, and to laugh along the way. Take a slow, deep breath in, hold it gently, and let it out. Penn's magic has never been about pretending he has powers. It has been about showing us that wonder doesn't require lies. The most beautiful thing about magic, he said, is that it's proof we can be amazed without being deceived about reality. That principle runs through everything he's done, whether on stage, on TV, or in his books. It is an argument for honesty and for joy. Penn has never whispered his beliefs. He said, if you believe something, stand for it. If you don't believe something, say so. Life's too short for pretending. Some have loved him for this. Some have disliked him for it. But he has always understood that pleasing everyone was never the point. Beneath the booming voice, Penn is a humanist, someone who believes that the greatest meaning in life comes from people, from love, from kindness freely given, from the fragile, fleeting beauty of being alive. Feel the quiet in that thought, that the value of your life is not borrowed from eternity. It is written here, now, by you. As you close your eyes and let the day slip away, Penn's life offers a simple invitation. Think for yourself. Speak honestly. Live freely. And never forget to leave room for wonder. Because even when you know the trick, life still has a way of surprising you. The curtain is falling now. The stage is going dark. The crowd drifts away. The theater empty and still. Only the echo of laughter remains, and the memory of something amazing. Rest now. You are free.